Okay, so step one to completing this square was to move away that number. Step two was figure out how to make your trinomial. Remember, you wanted a specific number at the end of your trinomial. So what did we do? Do you remember that? We said, well, half of it, divide by 2, so half of it, and then we would square that number. So half is 1. 1 squared is 1. Step 3. So that was called complete the square, by the way. Ending your trinomial. Step 3, that teeter-totter, it's like I threw 1 pound onto one side of the teeter-totter, so how should I balance it out? Put 1 pound on the other side of the teeter-totter. Step 4 is to finalize your equation, and at the very end it's going to look like this one. So we started here, we got to here. So y minus 4 equals, we don't need to write anything for a because it's just a 1x squared. So don't forget, the squaring of this binomial adds to this, times to that. But because it is a perfect square, the add will double and the times will square. It's the same as, right? Add to the middle, times to the end. Okay, those were the ones that were called simple ones. So today's lesson is now going to feature, well, what if I added a something for an a? So this has a 2x squared, so it's complex, a hard trinomial. Okay, step 1 is the same. Get rid of c. Okay, step 2. When I look at this value has to be factored out. Okay, so it's outside of the squared part. So this has to be step 2. So I call it factor out the a. Okay, so here I go. 2 times what makes 2x squared? 2 times what makes negative 16x? So this is what my goal is next, is I'm trying to make a perfect simple trinomial for myself, okay? So you will never, ever, ever complete the square unless it is a simple trinomial. Okay, I don't know how many times I get this where they just start completing the square and they use the 8 squared and they write 64 here. That's wrong. You can only do it once you have factored that out, because this has to be a simple trinomial. So this is your complete the square. Half, which is 4, negative 4, and then squared, which is 16. So that's step 3. Complete the square simple trinomial. Okay, so step 4 is to balance. So that one's, now we're back to the same. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. You're not going to add 16 to balance it out. That doesn't work. There's something more to it. I'm not just putting 16 on that other side. Why? What does this mean? Everything in this bracket is technically doubled, right? So how much did you actually put on there? If everything in the bracket is actually doubled, would you agree that that would have been a 32? So now I also have to add 32, okay? This is something people forget. They just do the 16, not forgetting about that 2 in the front. And the last step is to do a final format. So y plus 2 equals 2 bracket perfect square. Okay, remember that it needs to double and multiply. Okay, so same idea, but that's that factor out step first. Okay? Okay, let's go this one then. So I'm going to go a little bit faster. Move. Step 1, move. Step 2, get that 3 out of there because we have to have a simple trinomial. Okay, we're going to make ourselves a simple trinomial now. Okay, so if I took the 3 out, 3 times, well, this is x squared then. 3 times minus 4x. So this was this was that. Then I make the creation. This is this thing I'm just throwing onto the teeter-totter. So complete the square. Half squared makes 4. Because if I take half of this, I'm at -2. -2 times -2. Now we have to think about our balance number. How much has this side changed by? It's actually changed by 12. So I'm going to change that side by 12 to make that teeter-totter go flat again. Final format. So y plus 4 equals 3 perfect square. So what would FOIL to make this trinomial? Okay, and you remember what we did a lot of these on Friday where we practiced foiling them, right? Okay, last one before I let you go. Step 1, remove that value. Step 2, take that A out, okay? And if you kind of are forgetting on your test, okay, these should give you hints, right? That A has to be outside of this all. A out of the square stuff. Okay, now your trinomial will be just an x squared. So that times that. This times -4x would be the 16x. And creation, that's the number you want to make on your own. Half squared. Same as last question. Okay, and balance. What's your magic number to balance this teeter-totter back out now? So really you're doing this distribution would have really changed by a negative 16. Okay, on your work practice here, you're going to be doing this, but then I'm also asking you questions about, hey, what's the vertex? Where would your fastest place to be to look at the vertex be? Here or here? Which form is really fast for vertex? This one, right? Because it's just positive 2 comma negative 1. That's the vertex. If you looked at this form, you would have to do opposite b over 2a, plug in. Okay? FYI, if you have lots of time on your test, you can be a person who checks your answer with that method though. You can look here, and then you can do the negative b over 2a. They should match. Where's the fastest place to look for a y-intercept? Boom. Negative 17. That's the fastest place to look. Because if you looked in this form, you'd have to plug in 0. You'd have to square that, times that, subtract 1, getting you to negative 17, but it would be more work. So you can do everything in both forms, but do you see how I'm faster in one form for the vertex here, faster y-intercepting there?